Hello, how are you? Today our lesson is going to be on international organization. Many a times when we confuse the international organizations with the regional bodies and the trade blocs. For example, when I talk about regional bodies, I'm talking about the IGAD, the EAC. When I talk about the trade bloc, we are referring to the SADC, the ECOWAS, and the COMESA, which is the largest trading bloc in Africa. So, when we are referring to international organization, what are we talking about? The first international organization that I want us to discuss is the UNO. The UNO, standing for the United Nations Organization. The UNO was started first, originally or initially, as the League of Nations. The League of Nations in 1919. This was after the end of the First World War. That is when the countries of the world came together and decided to prevent an outbreak of a Second World War. Therefore, the main objective of the formation of the League of Nations was to prevent an outbreak of a Second World War. You find that the League of Nations did not achieve its objective. This is because the Second World War eventually broke out in 1939. And therefore, when the Second World War broke out and the intervention of the USA led to an end of the Second World War, what happened is that the League of Nations was changed to the present United Nations Organization. United Nations Organization. The aim of this United Nations Organization was to promote world peace and security. That was the main aim. The main aim was to promote world peace and security. And among other things, but this is the main objective of the United Nations Organization, whose headquarters are based in New York. The headquarters of the UN are based at New York. For UN, the United Nations, to be able to deliver its mandate and execute its function, it has bodies that enables it to deliver. I'm going to mention some of the bodies of the UN that help the UN to carry out its functions. The first body that I'm going to mention, it is the UNEP. The UNEP. UNEP stands for the United Nations Environmental Program. This is the only UN body that is found in Africa, and more specifically in Nairobi, at Gihiri, Nairobi. And the main aim or objective of the UNEP, it is to promote environmental conservation. So the UNEP deals with matters of environmental conservation. Then the other body that I am going to mention is the WHO. Currently, the whole world is engaged in a pandemic that we all know, the corona, at which we are going to overcome. The WHO stands for World Health Organization. This body is the one that does research, carries out research in diseases, and suggests possible steps that can be taken. Like now you have seen, we have corona. What the World Health Organization is doing is creating awareness, suggesting ways of preventing the spread of the virus. And because that is the function of the WHO, that is why you hear in media stations, in the social media, you find messages from the World Health Organization creating awareness, sensitizing the people on how they need to conduct themselves to prevent further spread of the disease, because that is the function of the World Health Organization. The other body that I am going to mention, it is the FAO. The FAO, the FAO, stands for Food and Agricultural Organization. This body deals in research in matters of agriculture and helping the farmers to come up with the best method of farming practices, coming up with the best seeds. That is the function of the Food and Agricultural Organization. It is also important to note that the Food and Agricultural Organization has different roles from the WFP, that is the World Food Program. The World Food Program deals with distributing food in drought-stricken areas, in flooding areas. Like now in our country, Kenya, we have some parts of Western Kenya and many parts of Kenya, northern parts of Kenya, experiencing flooding. The World Food Program ensures that relief food is distributed to such areas. Then we have another very important body, the UNHCR. The UNHCR stands for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. This body deals with the welfare of refugees. Who is a refugee? My dear viewer, there's a very big difference between a refugee and an immigrant, and therefore I want us to distinguish the two. A refugee is someone who is running away from his or her country because of natural disasters, because of political instability, because of lack of peace and war in his or her country, to another country to seek protection, to seek help and assistance. Like, for example, we have our neighbor country here, Somalia. We have some people, some citizens of Somalia who have run away from Somalia and have come into our country, Kenya, in refugee camps, like one of the largest refugee camps that we have, the Dadaab refugee camp, to seek protection. So the work and the function of the UNHCR, it is to ensure that refugees are protected and they are given the basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. Our next body is going to be the UNESCO. United Nations Education and Scientific and Cultural Organization. The UNESCO deals with cultural exchanges, education programs among schools, and creating awareness on the many existing cultures of the world and conducting research in education. So you find some of these bodies in areas like music festivals of Kenya. You find them there trying to show the world the different cultures that we have in our country. Then the other body is the IMF or the WB. IMF stands for the International Monetary Fund, or WB stands for the World Bank. This body deals with financing the mission and the objectives and the projects of the United Nations, ensuring that poor countries, or in other words, third world countries like Africa, most of the African countries, our country Kenya included, are third world countries. It ensures that relief money, loans for development and major projects is sent to the poor countries so that it can lift them from poverty. We also have another body, the UNIDO. This is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. This body ensures that money is available for the countries that are conducting big projects, like let's say generating of electricity. So the UNIDO deals with industrial organization. These bodies, we have said, they help the United Nations to execute its mandate. My dear viewer, we have other UN bodies that I'm suggesting you go back into your notes, look at their functions and their mission so that you can have a better understanding of the United Nations. But before I come to a conclusion of our session today, I would like to mention briefly about the UN Security Council. This is a body that discusses the main mission of the United Nations, that is to promote world peace and security. And this UN Security Council is made up of the heads of state from all the members of the UN who convene an annual conference. A conference is a meeting to discuss matters of world peace and security. My dear viewer, having said that, please subscribe into Mwalimu Kenya Jebuna to continue having more and better lessons. Thank you very much.